Hey, it's Shane and welcome to my video. So, I'm going to try to make this video as short as possible because quite frankly, I do not want to even talk about this because I'm so disgusted by it, but it is something that's important to talk about, which is why I'm here about to run my mouth about it. So, you may have been able to tell from the title and or thumbnail, but I will be talking about the whole Lil Boosie situation and why beyond his actions and what he said just being creepy as fuck, why the shit that he says and does is dangerously harmful. So, let me get into it. So, in case you haven't heard, about a week or so ago, Lil Boosie was on live and he proudly admitted to having grown women perform sexual acts on his sons and nephews. One of them is to the age of 12 to 14, 12 to 14, something like that. Either way, he's a minor. And I feel like we should already know why that is wrong. Why paying grown women to perform sexual acts or to molest, to sexually assault, because that's exactly what that is. Sexual assault. To sexually assault your child is wrong, disgusting, and quite frankly, this nigga needs to be in jail just for that alone. And this ain't even his first time admitting it. He made an Instagram post, what was it, back in 2015, maybe? He made an Instagram post saying happy birthday to his son. Pretty sure his son, this may have been the same son, the same young son that I'm referring to. He was turning about, 12, I believe? He was under the age of 15, that's what damn sure. And he made an Instagram post. He was talking about getting strippers or prostitutes for his son. Whatever, still fucking gross. So this ain't even the first time, but he did it again. Luckily, people were dragging him and calling him out for this weird shit that him admitting this on live. So yeah, people have been coming at his neck. People are actually saying something. A good chunk of people for it to cause a little frenzy, cause a little, to shake the table a little bit. Rightfully so. Because it's fucking weird. It's gross. It's sexual assault. But that's not even the worst part of it. I mean, it's fucking disgusting. But then to find out that even deeper into it, the reason behind why he had that done is fucking gross. He basically was doing it saying to ensure that his sons were straight / wasn't gay. So that's why he had paid a grown woman to give them head, perform sexual acts, to molest and rape them, just to make sure that they were straight. This goes into my first issue with this, which is the homophobia. The homophobia behind it all. First, in case you didn't know, Lil Boosie, aka, what's this nigga other name? Lil Boosie, Boosie Badass, Trash Can McGee, whatever the fuck his name is. He has a history of being highly homophobic and queerphobic. Like, this is not like, he's weird, and I hate the narrative that homophobic dudes are self-hating DL dudes. Like, I feel like that narrative is made too much, where it basically takes the accountability off of straight people for just being straight up homophobic. It being like, oh, if this straight dude is a raging homophobe, it's probably because he DL and gay himself. Like, there are cases where that's the T, but I feel like that narrative is pushed way too much. That it's not always an underlining, oh, they're gay themselves, and that's why they're so raging with homophobia and hateful and all. But the reason I brought this all up is because Lil Boosie, he's one of those niggas that's like, you could say a suspect, as it will. Like, it's already this talked about thing that some of the shit and stuff he's like suspect in a weird way, because he always inserting himself into conversations revolving around LGBTQ people, and it's like he's like, nobody asks for your fucking opinion. Like, he's just so willing to insert himself into these conversations involving queer people, plus some other questionable suspect shit. Like, I'm pretty sure he's the same nigga that went on a whole detailed story about how he witnessed, what was it, a sexual assault in jail. It was either gay sex or just a straight up sexual assault in jail or whatever, and just like graphic details about that shit. But besides the point, besides the point, he's blatantly homophobic. He's blatantly queerphobic. He has a history of being queerphobic, right? Like, it's no surprise, but like, this really solidifies it for me. And he's not alone. That's the issue. There are too many people like him. There are too many people just like him who are that homophobic. And it very much, I think of Gabriel Fernandez and that whole case. And awful, I have a video ranting about him. But it very much reminds me of that. How literally parents, these homophobic parents, can literally abuse their children, just in the thoughts of them maybe being gay. And let's not get it twisted. What Lil Boosie did, that was abuse. He got his child molested. Children can't consent, but we're gonna get into that later. So him having these grown women perform sexual acts on these minors is literally abuse. It's sexual assault. It's molestation. It's abuse. So these straight people will literally go out their way to have their children abused just to prevent them from being gay. Like, that's how strong the hate is towards gay people, towards queer people, that you will literally be willing to abuse and torment and do all this other shit, all this other messed up shit to your own children that you apparently love just to prevent them from being gay. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But now let me get into, this kind of goes into my next topic. What makes it even worse is Lil Boosie and Zaya Wade. I'm so sorry, sweetie. This is my second time talking about her in a video, and unfortunately they weren't me speaking about her, have not been about her just being the beautiful, iconic legend that she is, the queen that she is. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to just talk about her in that sense. I have to talk about her involving some fucking bullshit like this, some disgusting mess like this. So, where Zaya Wade comes in is a few months ago when Zaya Wade openly came out identifying as the girl that she is and saying her name is Zaya and everything. Lil Boosie, who was one of the many celebrities, one of the many grown-ass celebrities, running to the internet to run their fucking mouth about this child and her gender identity, saying she was too young to be knowing what she is and this whatnot. And of course, Lil Boosie had a lot of ignorant shit to say in regards to her. And I'm pretty sure he said some slick shit about Dwayne and Gabriella parenting her or whatever. As if he's any fucking body to be trying to give parenting tips or advice to. Like, nigga, shut that shit up. But yeah, so he had a lot to say right in his mouth, talking about and I'm pretty sure he misgendered her, saying how she's too young to know this. And I'm pretty sure he's one of the many celebrities who was like, oh, she's too young to know to chop off any of her private parts or whatever. Like, when none of that was even stated. Fucking weirdos. Like, let me try to not even get into that, because I could literally go off about that, but I'm not. Yeah, so he was one of those people who had a lot to say about her being too young to know her gender identity. Yeah, here this nigga go, literally paying grown women to perform sexual acts on his children that are around her same age. So she's too young to come to terms with what she's feeling within herself, with her own gender identity, with her own identity, to just come to terms with what she feels inside, how she feels about herself. She can't come to terms with that. But your son, your sons, your nephews, your whatever, they're old enough to be consenting to having sexual acts done to them by grown women. No. Because children can't consent. Children cannot consent. But here you go, paying grown women. Who the fuck are these women that's willing to do shit like that to kids? They need to go to jail too. Lil Boosie and these women, whoever he fucking paid to do shit on his young minor children, need to go to jail. Take them both to jail, period. Shit. But like I said, How does that work? And what made it worse is people dragged Zaya into this as well. Like, even besides me just calling that shit out, people decided to drag Zaya Wade into this conversation because the trifling, dirty, nasty ass, funky ass people that's defending Lil Boosie literally have the nerve to be like, oh, y'all were accepting of Zaya Wade saying she's old enough to be trans, but how come Lil Boosie's sons ain't old enough to know that they want to get some hair from a woman and that they daddy paying for it, whatever. Like, dummies, idiots, foolery. This shit is ridiculous that people are really sitting up here and trying to equate gender identity with sexual assault and molestation. They're really trying to sit here and make that argument, try to make it seem like it's the same. What was the fucking tweet? Let me go look. Let me go look for the fucking tweet real fast. So one of the tweets that went popular said, so it's clearly okay for a 12-year-old to know. Okay, I'm about to quote this quote by quote because they misgender Zaya, so I just want to make that clear. They said, so it's clearly okay for a 12-year-old to know he want to be a girl, but a 12-year-old don't know if he want hit or not. What? Whether his daddy paid for it or not, it's going to be done. What the fuck is wrong with you people? This is really how people think. This is really how people think. People really trying to equate gender identity to sexual assault, to rape. Because that's exactly what that is. People really out here trying to defend him with that trifling ass mindset. Y'all, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. That's why I am a firm believer in do not speak on stuff you are ignorant in. I try my best not to speak on stuff that I'm not too educated in, that I'm ignorant on. So it's like, see people say shit like, you don't know the difference between gender identity and sexuality. Like, shut the fuck up. And you're trying to defend literal sexual assault, child abuse, child sexual abuse, molestation. You're literally trying to defend that. You're trifling. What the fuck is wrong with you? And what kills me is that people like this, people who try to make these fucking arguments at trifling shit, people like Lil Boosie, they are literally the same ones who like to run their fucking homophobic mouths. Like to say shit like there's a gay agenda and that we're trying to force gayness, queerness on children just by wanting gay representation and shit. They are literally the same ones who will say shit like that. But then turn around and defend this man literally forcing fellatio on his fucking children done by a whole grown ass adult just to ensure that they're straight and not gay. Like if it ooh child. If there's any fucking agenda being pushed, the only ones who pushing the fucking agenda, y'all weird ass cis hetero people. You straights, y'all the only ones trying to push an agenda, trying to force kids to be straight. Literally, y'all are literally getting y'all children sexually assaulted to try to ensure that they're straight. Y'all literally beating your children to ensure that they're straight. Fucking weird. Y'all are the fucking agenda. Let me also get into how this highly contributes to rape culture. The same people who are defending him are the same people who will be like, you know how when a conversation of sexual assault and sexual violence towards women is brought up, they're the same ones that be like, well, men get raped too. Well, men get sexually assaulted too. Why are we gonna talk about that? Yeah, here they are literally defending young boys being sexually assaulted. These young black boys being sexually assaulted. And I mention their blackness because the way that homophobia and toxic masculinity is set up within the black community, this type of shit is so common where people try to normalize black boys being sexually abused and shit. Like, I cannot tell you how many times growing up, even before I reached high school, how many times I would hear in school, like, boys literally bragging about how they had their first time having sex with a babysitter or a neighbor or their parents' friend or some shit, like, literally bragging about it. Like, it's a good thing. Like, that was the thing. That was the thing. And I know I'm not the only one. That was the thing where literally these young boys having sexual experiences and sexual acts done at them at these young ass age was like a thing to brag about, to praise on. And that's sick. It's sick. And that's what Lil Boosie he is contributing to that culture of normalizing and excusing sexual abuse, assault on boys. So it's like, that's fucking gross. It's really fucking gross. And like I said, they want to try to bring up these are safe people. That's because these people, they don't, what do they fucking stand for? What do they fucking stand for? When they say shit like boys are raped too, they only say it to try to derail from the conversation of women's experiencing rampant sexual assault and rampant sexual abuse. That's the only reason they bring up stuff like that. They don't really give a fuck. Otherwise, they'll be speaking up against what Lil Boosie is doing. But no, they're literally the same ones who would, well, that's his son. It's going to be done to him anyway. Plus, he's paying for it. No, at least he's there with his son, making sure it's safe or whatever, whatever. And all this other bullshit. Like, it's really fucking gross. And let's get to the sexism of it. Because it's not the case with girls. This is literally only, this type of shit is only praised and accepted when it's boys. Paying for your 13, 14, 12-year-old son to get head from a grown-ass woman. That's something to brag about, to be proud of, to praise. Because, that's making him a man or whatever, whatever. All that bullshit. But literally, if the tables were reversed, and I'm not one of those people that love to be like, oh, let's do a gender swap, and oh, if it was women, then it wouldn't be okay. But that's literally the fucking case. If it was girls, the people know that getting a grown-ass fucking man to perform sexual acts on a 12-year-old girl is disgusting. It's pedophilia. It's fucking sick. It's child abuse. It's child sexual abuse. It's molestation. It's fucking gross. We already know that. When it's a boy receiving that from a grown woman, then, oh, it's okay. That makes him manly. That also goes into the culture behind how toxic masculinity is and how our society bring up boys to think that they're these sexual monsters and that them being sexual is praised and contributes to how much of a man they are. So that's why you get a lot of young boys thinking that them, and even there are celebrities who have literally talked about losing their virginities at such a young age while they were literally minors. And they talk about it highly as if it's a good thing, as if they weren't sexually abused. That's because our society don't recognize or don't like to acknowledge sexual abuse of boys and men. Part of rape culture, where male sexual abuse victims, survivors, aren't looked as the same. They aren't treated as the same because people expect for boys to be sexual and like expected for boys to want sexual acts done to them and all this. Like, boys can't say no. Like, boys cannot not give consent and all this fucking shit. Like, all this contributes. Him doing this shit, all this contributes to these issues. When people are around doing shit and saying shit like Lil Boosie is doing and talking so highly and fucking bragging about having shit like this done, it contributes to these issues within our society that's already prevalent. It keeps it here. It keeps it rooted in our society. And it's fucking gross. And what's worse is he is raising children. Oh, and he has daughters. Let's get on that. He has daughters. He's not paying for nobody to be fucking doing anything to his daughters, to his young daughters. Because like I said, it's expected for boys to be sexual. It's praised for boys to be sexual. Yet girls, it's shamed upon for girls to be sexual. And it's like men coming up with this type of fucking logic. Then who the fuck are your sons supposed to be sexual with, babes? Who the fuck are your sons supposed to be sexual with? If you don't want your daughters having sex till they're 30, but you're over here letting your sons get sexual with people at the age of 12. Who the fuck are they supposed to be sexual with? With all you niggas, all you men having the same type of mindset. Weirdos. Fucking weird. Gross. Just weird and gross. But like I said, what makes it even worse is he's raising children. He has children that he's raising with this mindset. One of his sons, the one who's apparently like a rapper, a famous rapper, when Lil Boosie was getting called out for being transphobic towards Zaya Wade and running his fucking mouth, when that whole situation happened, his son made some post on, Instagram? On his Instagram story, some really gross transphobic statements, comments that he made, some really gross comments, and it's like, that's disgusting that you're literally ingraining this transphobia and this type of disgusting mindset into your children, into these young children. Like he misgendered Zaire for one. He literally said something like he know this girl that could do some stuff to Zaire that'll make straight. I'm not about to quote this anymore. I already quoted the other fucking ignorant transphobic shit earlier. I'm not about to keep quoting this shit. But it's fucking disgusting, and it's like this is the cycle just continues. Like literally his young child literally trying to encourage the sexual molestation of another child that he misgenders. And like just like shit like this. That's why people can't just not let shit like this slide. You can't let transphobia slide. You can't let this disgusting sexual assault, sexual abuse. You can't just let this shit slide, and it's ridiculous. And so many people already got this disgusting ass mindset, clearly, for people to be running their fucking mouths to defend Boosie on this gross ass shit. Clearly, people already got this mindset, and it's like they're raising children to think like this, who's passed down this disgusting, nasty ass mindset. That's why shit needs to get called out. Shit needs to get stopped. This nigga needs to go to jail. Like, it's just gross. I'm over it. And like I said, I was trying my best not to talk about this shit because like, he's one of the trash celebrities who I just try to stay away from and try to not hear news about. But the more I just heard about it, it's like the more upset I got because like it's gross. It's really gross. And seeing people trying to defend him and defend his behavior, it's fucking gross. It's fucking gross. People need to do better. But let me stop here, child, because this is already too long. I want to keep this short. Clearly, that ain't happened. So, yeah. Hopefully, you got something out of that. This shit needs to be stopped. People like him needs to go to jail. People like him do not need children. People like him do not need to be raising children. It's really gross, and it's really sad, and it's really ridiculous. But yeah, that's the end of my video. Thank you for listening to me running my mouth. If you made it this far, if you enjoyed or agree with the shit I'm saying, hopefully you'll want to stick around, see my other content, like, subscribe, or comment, or, you know, all that jazz. So yeah.